everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel and I'm here for Poppy Stamps today, and I want to show you how quick and easy it is to make slider cards using the Poppy Stamps. It's called Straight Slider Grooves, and this set of dies comes with 3 different slider grooves. So this is the first slider card that I made, and I used the Straight Slider Grooves. I used the smallest of the 3. So you can see that the largest one would be great for a horizontal 5.5 by 4.25 size card. So it's going to go straight across the bottom there or the top. You could have it in the middle, wherever you want. The medium size is for a top folding 4.25 by 5.5 inch note card. And the smallest one is just for a smaller slider. So I used it inside a circle here on this first card. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to put together a slider card using these dies and how simple it is. And I'm going to use this same stamp set here. It's called Wintertime Fairies, and it's great with sliders to have either little people or little critters that can slide back and forth. So for this card, I'm going to do a horizontal 4.25 by 5.5 inch note card. I die cut one large rectangle that was the size of the note card, and I've also die cut a smaller rectangle in green, and I used the wrapped layering stitch dies from Memory Box to die cut those rectangles. So the smaller green is where we're going to have the slider. I'm going to use that middle-sized slider. It's perfect. The larger one would fall off the side and then your slider would just shoot off the card. So we want something that's within the confines of the card that you're making. And I've stamped and colored and die cut with the coordinating dies several of the fairies and other little elements from the Wintertime Fairy stamp set. So I'm trying to decide where I'm going to put everything on this little card before I cut out the slider base. But I do know that I'm going to have it right down at the bottom there. So I'm just going to position that slider groove right at the bottom where I want it and put a piece of washi tape on it. Just make sure it's straight, and then I will run it through my die cut machine. So after I've run it through my die cut machine, now it's time to start creating this slider. You need a penny or something heavy that can slide back and forth. So I'm going to use a penny and figure out which fairy is going to go on top. I decided to use this fairy because I can hide the slider behind her little dress there. So I'm going to cut a thin strip of foam tape and put it on the penny. The penny is behind that green rectangle there. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to cut another strip and double it up. Now I'm going to turn it over, put the penny where it needs to be so that I can figure out how much foam tape I need. And I'm going to again put 2 layers of foam tape behind this green rectangle. So that's why I'm going to leave that top adhesive protective layer there until I'm really ready for everything to be glued down. I need a thin strip underneath the penny. You don't want anything touching the penny because otherwise it won't slide really well. Once I have all that double-sided adhesive, I'm going to go in with my EK Success powder tool and I'm going to get all the sides of the adhesive that are anywhere near the penny. That's going to make sure that your slider smoothly slides back and forth with no problems. And if you have any sticky spots, go back in and use some more powder tool. I'm going to remove those top layers and flip over my rectangle, make sure my penny is in place, and you can see now that it's sliding back and forth. I felt that it was a little sticky in a couple of spots, so I decided to put some more powder tool, and then I decided I want it popped up even more, so I put a 3rd layer of foam tape to make sure that the fairy was popped up enough and would slide back and forth. Now I'm just using a dusting cloth to get rid of that powder. I'm going to put the rest of the card together, figure out where I want the other fairies and other elements, and then I can start adhering everything down. So I did decide that I wanted a sentiment here. Now I probably should have done this before I made the slider. That would have been a lot easier, but it's not the end of the world. So I put some powder tool on the green cardstock there, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment from the same fairies set with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to put some white embossing powder on top. And then once that is completely covered with white embossing powder, I am going to take that and heat set it with my heat tool, and that's going to make a nice bright white sentiment on this card. So again, once everything is dry and cool, I'm going to take my dusting cloth again and come back in and get rid of the rest of that powder. I have a little piece of foam hanging out there, so I'm just going to use some non-stick scissors and just cut that away. So it's okay if you find things like that. As long as you have a pair of non-stick scissors, you'll be able to deal with it pretty easily. Okay, once I have that all set, then it's time to stick down my igloo and my second fairy. I'm just going to use some tape runner to do that. I have the Memory Runner XL. The fairy I decided to pop up on one layer of foam this time, so she is dimensional as well. I'm going to remove that top protective layer on the penny and adhere my second little fairy. And then I have some holly berries and some stars. I'm going to adhere the stars with some Ranger Multimedia Matte so that if any of the adhesive squishes out the side, you won't see it. And once that is done, I'm going to put a little bit of glossy accents right on top of the stars. When I colored and I cut the stars, I also added a little bit of shimmer with some Wink of Stella on them, and so now I'm going to add some dimension and shine on top of that. So that is almost complete, my card there, but I'm going to add some Tonic Studios Nouveau Jewel Drops to the fairy's wings. And that pretty much completes my slider card. I just need some tape runner again on the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card. This is a side folding note card, and I'm just going to press it down, and then you can see that little fairy, she glides back and forth on the front of that card. So that's how easy it is. It's just some foam tape and die cutting with those great dies. So I hope you will look down below and check out the supplies that I used in this video. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a great day.